In this video, I want to take a few minutes just to go over practice growth and revenue and how we can measure where our new patients are coming from. That is the most important thing for us to look at, because if we know where we're getting new patients from or new customers from, then we can certainly figure out what's working and what's not working. And I want to show you which are the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and why those are the metrics that I picked for the Looker Studio report that you're getting monthly. Remember that Looker Studio is the new version of Data Studio. Doesn't matter, but if you haven't heard of it, that's what it is. So, and I'm going to show you also the other metrics that are often called vanity metrics that don't matter. I'm going to show you why. So for practice growth and revenue, we generally have two ways. We have existing patients and we have new patients. So obviously, internal referral systems and keeping existing patients happy is very important, but that for now is not, this subject. So for new patients, how do we get new patients? Well, there are two ways. There's other marketing, which we're not going to get into now. There's mailers, there's all sorts of things that you can do. There's, sponsoring a sports team. There's all sorts of things, community work. But today we're going to talk about internet marketing. So what are we doing in terms of internet marketing to get new patients? Okay, so before we even expand anything else into internet marketing, I want to talk about call tracking. You can do this without call tracking, but HIPAA compliant call tracking, because you shouldn't be doing it other kind, is critical in order to be able to tie in the actual new patients into your marketing dollars. Because if you know exactly who came and where they came from and the value of that, then you certainly know what decisions to make. If you're a car dealer and you know that you put an advertisement in the paper and said, when you buy the car, say newspaper, and 90% of the people who came to your dealership said newspaper, then and we're going to keep putting ads in that newspaper. And it should be the same thing with your dental practice or medical practice. So let's come over here or your legal practice. It doesn't matter. So under call tracking, so you can come over here. Obviously, for an attorney, there are different issues with call tracking, which we're not going to get into now. But so generally speaking, when it comes to internet marketing, how do we get patients? We either use pay-per-click, where they are, clicking a button, clicking an ad, and they're making a phone call, and that is generally very well tracked. We still need to use some kind of call tracking for pay-per-click, but you have a better chance with pay-per-click because you can separate that out. There are separate phone numbers sometimes. There are other ways to do it. I still recommend call tracking because it really lets you narrow it down. But in any case, we're going to talk about here, what are the other ways? What are the KPIs? So pay-per-click is one method, but when it comes to organic search, here's where it really matters. And if you look back at the Looker Studio report that you're getting, here's where people can get in touch with you. So my question is when it comes to your practice, what are the ways that people can get in touch with you to make an appointment and become a new patient? Way number one is that they're going to call you, right? So they're going to go to your website and they are going to make a phone call and they're going to call you. That's number one. Number two, they are going to go to your website and maybe you have an appointment form or a form widget that they can click and they'll make an appointment. Number three, they can submit a contact request. And number four, they can, when they do a Google search or an organic search, remember, because organic search is someone goes to Google and types in, dentist near me, doctor near me, whatever it happens to be, dental crowns, dermatologist, whatever. Phone calls from Google My Business. So these are the four KPIs. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. So we're going to say, how is my marketing going? I'm going to tell you what are we measuring it in? Well, we're going to measure it in appointment form requests, contact form requests, phone calls, right? Because that's the only way that we can know, at least from the internet marketing perspective, right? From organic search, we have pay-per-click, don't forget. But the only way that we can know really where people are coming from, really what's working, is by tracking these metrics. So now, what do I talk about other metrics? So these are vanity metrics. And the reason I want you to think about vanity metrics is because let's take a look and see. If we know that we had 20 phone calls in a month that came from organic search, I know that organic search gave me 20 phone calls. That's a good number. I know that organic search maybe gave me 10 contact form requests. Great, because that's actionable. If I know that I have 20 phone calls, I can now look at those phone calls and say, did we get new patients? Did we generate revenue? Contact requests, I can say we had 7 requests and they were all from, dealers that wanted to sell us, machines or whatever, the vendors. Google My Business phone calls. Well, you know what? We got calls, but they were all from people who don't live in our area, which wouldn't happen on GMB. But suffice it to say that these are the top level KPIs, because if somebody makes a phone call to your office, they're either going to become a patient or they're not. Same thing. If they submit an appointment request, they're becoming a patient. If they submit a contact form request, odds are, hopefully they're becoming a patient. Phone call. So the point is that, is there a step in between these top level KPIs and becoming a new patient? And the answer is really no. Obviously, yes, your front desk is in here. Whoever's managing your phone calls certainly is the person in between. But as far as internet marketing goes, the idea is that we want to get you to the point where you're getting these website phone calls, you're getting these widget requests, the appointment form, contact, and phone calls. So let's take a look at these other metrics, which are vanity metrics. And they're metrics where, one of the reasons I said to you that I'm sending you a short report that's very, very focused is because what are you going to do with this information? If I tell you that you had 30 button clicks on your website this month and 10 last month, what does that tell you? Maybe people are using the website more. Okay, but does it tell us anything about this? Anything? No. So if we do organic sessions, we had 1,000 organic sessions this month. Well, maybe 500 of them were from overseas because you have a great blog post. So yes, there are ways to use these data points, these vanity metrics, as we break it down. But as a top level metric, I don't care how many page views you had. I don't care what the bounce rate is. I don't care what the time or any of these. Hey, you now rank for 300 keywords, and last month you ranked for 20. Okay, does that put any more new patients in my practice? So we have, we're ranked for 10 more keywords, or here, now we're ranked 6th instead of 8th. That's great. That's really great. Does that turn into more new patients and more revenue? So certainly if we see that we are not getting phone calls. So let's say that we have a practice and we're getting 3 phone calls a month. That is not a lot of phone calls, of new people calling. Okay, so now that we know that we're not getting phone calls, let's figure out why. So from here, let's go back and say, okay, well, are we getting visitors? Oh no, we're not getting visitors on our website. Well, okay, we don't have enough traffic. So that's why we're not getting phone calls, because we're not getting traffic. So what do we have to do? We need to increase our traffic, right? Our organic sessions and our page views. Maybe we need to do some SEO to drive some more, get ranked for some more keywords, drive more traffic. But once we now have keyword rankings, which actually are what drives organic sessions, I'm not going to break that down, but keyword rankings and rank keywords are things that help drive organic sessions and page views. So if we see that we have no phone calls or very few phone calls, well, why? Well, people are not really visiting the site. Why? Because we don't have good rankings. Great. So if we improve our rankings here, then maybe we can improve our organic sessions and improve our phone calls. Oh, we're not getting phone calls, but we do have a lot of organic session and page views. Okay, well, maybe the bounce rate and the time on the page, the bounce rate means that someone came to your page and just left immediately without doing anything else. So maybe the bounce rate is too high. Maybe we are doing a great job. Maybe we have great keyword rankings and a lot of ranked keywords. And we have a lot of organic sessions and page views, but people are coming, they're looking at the website and leaving right away. So we don't need to spend more money on driving traffic. And we don't need to spend more money on, because we have it here, right? We've got organic sessions and page views. But it looks like the bounce rate is high, time on page is low, which means we have a messaging problem. So in and of itself, these other metrics don't really tell you anything by themselves. What they have to do is, these metrics are useful when you're breaking down these top level metrics. Same thing with, the contact form request. All these are the same things. We're not getting any requests. Well, are we getting traffic? No. Well, let's do this to get traffic. Are we getting sessions but no one's calling? No one's clicking, sending a request? Yes. Well, then how come they're not? Maybe we have very good organic sessions and page views, good number. The bounce rate is low. Time on the page is great. So what's going on? Well, you know what? Maybe our contact button is buried. Or maybe, which is horrible, maybe our contact form doesn't work. So giving you all of these numbers at the top level doesn't make sense. It's, when you're buying a new house, if you go and you look at the price and it's $10 million, you know what? That's a little out of my budget. So telling me how many, bathrooms and bedrooms and how many, cars I can have in my garage don't really matter when you've got, a castle price at $10 million. So here's the $10 million. We don't need to get into the details of what's in the house and what it really costs to do the landscaping every month, because I'm not going to buy a $10 million castle. So that's why I'm not giving you this information, because this information is only helpful when we use it in trying to break down what's working and what's not working for this information. So I hope that this is helpful in explaining, why I chose the metrics that I chose, and why these metrics, when you get these reports that show you all this information that, we did such a great job because we have now all these extra rank keywords. But again, if those keywords aren't leading to phone calls and contact requests, and then of course, new patients, then they don't matter. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for sticking with me through this 11 minutes. And I really, really hope that this was helpful to give you an understanding of what metrics you have to look at and what metrics you should be ignoring, and to know that, these are not metrics that you need to get, upset about or to focus on, unless we're looking at them, in conjunction with these important KPIs.